Hello and welcome to part 2 of episode 200. This is the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com and I am Cornelius Fichtner. Nice to have you back for this milestone. In case you haven't listened to part 1, then let me just quickly remind you what we are doing for our anniversary. We have asked 20 thought leaders in project management one simple question. In your opinion, what is the number one challenge that project management is facing today and how do we best address it? The 4 parts of episode 200 is the compilation of their answers. So, let's move on and hear what Ron Holohan, Roberto Mori, Elizabeth Herron, Stacey Goff, and David Blumhorst have to say. By the way, Roberto Mori is the president of the International Project Management Association, and Stacey Goff is president of the American Society for the Advancement of Project Management. And you might be wondering, if I didn't reach out to PMI's president, the Project Management Institute's president, Mark Langley. I did, and Mark sent us a video response. To hear and see what he has to say, please watch part 4 with all the videos that we got.
Hello, this is Ron Holohan from the PM411.org Project Management Podcast. And Cornelius, I want to congratulate you on your 200th episode. That is just fantastic. I remember not that long ago getting my first MP3 player and going on the internet and trying to find some resources on project management and stumbling across your very first episode. And I just thought it was fantastic. And all your episodes since then have been such a great resource to myself as well as thousands of other people. And I want to really thank you for all the effort, as well as inspiration for other podcasts like my own that you've provided over the years. Now, to your question, what is the number one challenge that project management is facing today, and how do we best address it? I think this is a great question. I've been pondering it, and I think it's really remarkable if you think about it. There is so much technology in the world to help us with communication. We have cell phones, we have Skype, and we have email, and we have YouTube, and we have instant messaging and unified communications and cell phones and all this other great technology. Yet I think we're getting worse at communicating with people on and off of our teams. I think that a lot of us find that we're so busy with other things. Maybe it's distractions from things like email and cell phone calls and things like that. But there's so many other things that we're trying to manage that we find ourselves not doing good practices in communicating with our stakeholders and our team members. I know I've done some podcasts myself on weekly status reports and presentations, and I think these things are very important. I know a lot of project managers in the past have come to me and said, I just don't have time to do a weekly status report. And what I usually say is, well, I think what you're not doing is prioritizing your time to make sure you do weekly status reports. Sometimes I have people say, people just don't read my weekly status reports. Well, that in itself is probably more of an issue to figure out what's going on and how to get people to read your status reports. Or maybe it's a different media format that they need as a stakeholder in understanding what's going on with your team. So communication is extremely important. It's something that you must do. You must do it on a consistent basis. You must make sure you understand what your stakeholders' needs are. And this is going to resolve a lot of issues that cause projects to fail. Things like scope creep and conflicts and misunderstood requirements or no requirements and just poor communication in general. Those things can all be addressed by better communication. So hopefully that helps you. And thanks again, Cornelius, for your wonderful podcast. And here's to 200 more episodes.
The following is the input that Roberto Mori, president of the IPMA, sent for our 200th episode. Hello, Cornelius. Congratulations on your 200th PM podcast, and thank you for this great opportunity. I'm Roberto Mori, the current president of IPMA, the International Project Management Association, the oldest project management association founded in 1965. It's composed today of 55 national member associations established in countries on all the continents. It's a federal organization registered in Switzerland. Its website is ipma.ch. The PM challenge I'll refer to is the increasing weight of the intercultural project management to seek success of the complex projects that all business and society sectors worldwide more and more envisage and need to execute. The IPMA competence approach, as reflected in the IPMA competence baseline used as a reference for the IPMA professional certifications, considered the behavioral competence, that's the soft skills, as indispensable for the successful performance of project managers and teams. In fact, soft skills such as reliability, creativity, consistency, passion, persistence are proving to be the key to go the extra mile along the route towards that performance. However, in the current globalized world, they are not sufficient any longer to face the challenges raised by the rapid increase of complex projects driven by social and development needs, technology changes, political, economic, and financial turmoil, new energy sources, huge natural disasters. Stakeholders require project managers and teams to face the related challenges with the wise application of those skills worldwide, as the project management is undoubtedly a universal discipline, a universal way of simply making things happen. In their tasks of driving complex projects forward and motivating team members to achieve the goals, project managers face an additional challenge, which can result in an absolutely valuable opportunity: multicultural diversity. Intercultural project management is the means to exploit such an opportunity through a system of tools that allows reaching goals in international intercultural projects by managing in a structured way the relationships among people in different cultures. Diversity is then turned from a problem into an extra powerful tool to support project success. As a matter of fact, multicultural environments can be amazingly powerful in terms of cross-fertilization and innovation, if we are able to move from awareness of our own culture towards respect and reconciliation of cultural differences through a culture-sensitive project management. Research and experience have shown that more complex intercultural projects are often less successful. Failures of such projects are very often due to soft reasons, that is, lack of communication skills, poor power management, unclear delegation, and liability, inefficacy in risk management, etc., rather than technical ones. Project management aspects mainly affected by cultural diversities are, number one, decision-making processes, delays, misunderstandings, problems, anticipation, etc. Number two, risk management, differences in dealing with uncertainty, capability to react against unforeseen events, different approaches in mitigation plans, etc. Number three, time management, different perceptions of time urgency, punctuality and promptness, deadline sensitivity, etc. 4. Project control capability. So, if a project manager is aware about how to identify and deal with cultural diversity, how to search for cultural diversity, how to anticipate problems deriving from cultural diversity, then he or she will be more effective in controlling costs, getting results, satisfying project stakeholder expectations. The intercultural dimensions that mainly affect project results are related to power distance, individualism, focus on tasks versus relationships, and value of time. These dimensions reflect the cultural values which in turn drive our behaviors. Therefore, a different and effective way to face and solve cultural differences in project management is to shift from behaviors to values. In other terms, to understand the behaviors we must know the related cultural values. The challenge is that the behaviors are the tip of the cultural iceberg, whereas the values are the much bigger, submerged part of it. 9/10 of culture is below the surface. We therefore need a deep dive into cold waters to become aware of those values. It is an exciting challenge if one considers that the hidden culture relates to unspoken and even unconscious rules and to the high emotional level. Recalling that the promise of project management is efficient, effective, and beneficial change, we project managers, as change agents, are expected to make the difference and be the change that we would like to see in the world. To quote Mahatma Gandhi, "Which greater change than showing through projects the synergic power of multicultural diversity?" And once again, this was from Roberto Mori, President of IPMA.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Harrin and I'm the author of Social Media for Project Managers and Project Management in the Real World. I think the biggest challenge facing project management today is that project-related work and jobs are growing too quickly for our approaches to professionalism to keep up. Let me explain what I mean. There are a lot of acronyms coming, so I apologise in advance for that. The world of work is becoming more focused on projects. I don't think it's just project professionals who would say that either. Business leaders are also aware of the fact that projects are a core part of any company, and project management standards and approaches are being applied to more things. The role of the project, programme and portfolio office is growing. There are different types of roles available now to people who want to work in projects. You could be a PMO specialist, a risk professional, or a project support officer. The management frameworks and organisation structures that support project-based work are in use in many companies. All that's great. However, the growth means that project management has different interpretations for different people. Project management jobs are offered with salaries of £20,000 up to upwards of £80,000. That can't possibly be the same job with the same responsibilities. The approach we've taken to professionalism and explaining what project management is really revolves around industry bodies. In the United States, this is relatively clear, as the Project Management Institute, PMI, sets the standards for what project management means. I don't say it because I'm a particular fan of the project management body of knowledge or the PMP credential, but because in the US there isn't as much competition between industry bodies. In the UK, it is a different story. We have the Office of Government Commerce, which produces Prince 2 and the MSP frameworks. These are the de facto requirements for project and programme managers over here. We also have the Association for Project Management, which is affiliated to the IPMA. They have their own body of knowledge and their own credential scheme. Then we have a small but relatively active PMI chapter, so there are people with PMP and other PMI credentials. For employers, it is a mess. Do you want a Prince 2 practitioner or a PMP? Or someone who has both? What does a PMP mean, and is it better or equivalent to a master's degree in project management? If I want to recruit a PMO manager, what should I be looking for? There's no national standard to help employers make the right decision for their company. For individuals, it's even worse. Most employers advertise for people who are Prince 2 certified, but that course won't teach you to do proper scheduling, and it certainly doesn't reflect your experience in the field. So should you get PMP as well? What about the new Registered Project Professional designation from APM? This is in its infancy, but the idea is that people who have RPP then adopt chartered status and become chartered project professionals when the APM is awarded its Royal Charter. That will apparently move those people into the same stratosphere as chartered accountants or chartered surveyors. So let's say you want to go for that. Who's going to pay for it? Many employers will only pay membership fees to one professional body for you, or none at all. Do individuals have to pay for PMI membership and APM membership and ask their employers to send them on Prince 2 courses every 5 years for recertification? It's very complicated. I know in these interviews the speaker is supposed to put forward their suggestions for how we should tackle the challenge we've identified. The problem is, I don't have the answers. Professional bodies won't suddenly stop producing certificate-based courses. It's how they make money, and it's how they convince employers that they are relevant to today's working environment. And for the most part, the courses and the credentials are very good. I don't have an issue with the standard of project management education. I just worry that there's too much of it, which makes it hard for employers and individuals to know what is the best option for them. I can't see that any of the professional bodies in the UK, in the project management area or in other areas, would give up marketing their services because someone else is doing a similar thing. What I would like to see is more alignment and collaboration between them, so that it is easier to compare bodies of knowledge, standards, frameworks, certificates, and credentials, and whatever else is out there. We need project management as a profession to hang together, not become more fragmented. The project-based workplace is here to stay, and the discipline of project management needs to catch up pretty fast so that companies see the value and know where to turn for professional advice. I'm Elizabeth Harrin, and you can find me online at www.girlsguide2pm.com or on Twitter at PM4Girls, that's the number 4. You can also find out more about my company at www.otterbossgroup.com. That's OTOBOS group.com.
Hello, Cornelius. Congratulations on your 200th PM podcast, and thank you for this great opportunity. I'm Stacy Goff, a founder and current president of ASAPM, the American Society for the Advancement of Project Management. Our website is asapm.org. ASAPM is the USA member association of IPMA, the International Project Management Association. That website is ipma.ch, where the CH is the code for Switzerland. IPMA is registered in Switzerland. The PM challenge I'll speak to is the theme of the 2011 IPMA World Congress held in October in Brisbane, Australia, Project Management, Delivering the Promise. The promise of project and program management is efficient, effective, and beneficial change. We, as a practice or profession, make that promise to 4 types of groups: individuals, project teams and stakeholders, enterprise managers and executives, and to nations and society. Each of these groups has different needs and different expectations. The first group, individuals, expect to improve their project performance while increasing their job satisfaction and career progression opportunities. To accomplish that, we need to move beyond classroom knowledge and testing that bring only short-term results. I recently found that a rule of thumb I've used for years is wrong. I've said that the half-life of knowledge acquired but not applied is 6 weeks. Recent research shows that half-life to be only 2 weeks. Individuals need to follow classroom training with on-the-job application of that knowledge in 4 areas: develop needed skills, improve behavioral competences, show end-to-end project experience, and achieve measurable project performance results. Individuals who deliver the promise add interpersonal skills and contextual competence elements to build on their technical knowledge areas. ASAPM uses the IPMA competence baseline as our foundation for advancement of PM because it adds those elements to the foundation for individual performance. This competence approach is proving to be very popular, as other U.S. organizations are now adding behavioral elements to their exam-based certifications. We applaud that move because we've known for years that project success often depends more on these competences than on all technical knowledge put together. Perhaps all practitioners, regardless of which PM associations they identify with, will soon begin delivering the promise. Our second group, project teams and stakeholders, deserve recognition, a sense of gratification, and measurable business results from their project efforts. And yet too often we see barriers to meeting those expectations. It's alarming that organizations have spent tens of billions of dollars on project management training, tools, and methodologies, while in far too many cases we continue to see unacceptable failure rates. Part of the challenge is to refocus training on learning objectives that improve performance rather than just accumulating knowledge. To deliver the promise, our basic and advanced certifications require application and experience with the right competences, tools, techniques, and processes. Beyond certification, we assess the competence requirements not just of project managers, but of team members, sponsors, resource managers, and decision makers. To deliver the promise to project teams and stakeholders, it's clear that you don't just send PMs to yet another training. You quickly hit the point of diminishing returns. Instead, you must assess the weakest links in your organization. Those who, when their performance gaps are filled, can double or triple the effectiveness of project teams and stakeholders while erasing the success via heroics mentality, a too frequent management malpractice. Our experience is that even minor adjustments in middle management and key stakeholder competence can make important differences in delivering the promise to project teams and stakeholders. The third group, enterprise managers and executives, first of all, expect that project stakeholder needs are met. We also expect greater transparency into project efforts and demonstrated return on investment, at least on projects justified on that one of many factors. Even more importantly, we expect the promise to be met that projects are the actions that implement our strategies. And yet, we see huge gaps between that vision and the reality, between the promise and the execution. As a result, too many of us have added even more layers between our role and the role of those people down there who do projects. A tragedy because the opposite action is what's more often needed. For many enterprises, the vision of a chief projects officer is nothing more than a hallucination. And the concept of an all-enterprise portfolio that joins capital management, operations, and projects and programs, while adopted by some savvy enterprises, is far away from most others. We have predicted that early adopters would quickly embrace this concept, but the vast majority will not do so for another 10 to 20 years. Why? They have poor management information before, during, and after most of their projects, and most middle managers are unable to improve on this situation. To help deliver the promise, APRO, the ASAPM Performance Rated Organization Standard, supports top-down performance assessments of the way you manage your project environment. It helps identify actions needed to measurably improve, and in some cases certify, organizational PM performance. With APRO, enterprise managers and executives have new ways to deliver the promise. Our fourth and last group, nations and society, have great expectations for our ability to deliver the promise. We are building the infrastructure that helps developing nations feed, shelter, and care for their citizens, improving fresh and wastewater processing for both developing and developed countries, helping nations prosper through projects that help improve national competitiveness in an increasingly global economy. All these expectations involve projects, and some are far less successful than our nation's citizens deserve. Our discipline of beneficial change should be the hope and dream in our society for every citizen, every student, every worker, every entrepreneur, every jobless person, and every retired senior, but only when we can consistently deliver the promise. Delivering the promise includes helping the World Bank to further improve the intensive project management curriculum for development countries with our perspective of the importance of the soft side of PM. It includes helping project managers, contractors, and government officials to connect with and receive that essential PM learning. It means establishing an ongoing support system to perpetuate the learning far beyond the classroom and into the desperately needed projects. In these projects, it also means recognizing project excellence in far-reaching initiatives around the globe with the IPMA Awards program. You see, too many people think PM success is an impossible dream until we highlight our successes in your own neighborhood. Delivering the promise should not be a challenge, and yet it may be our greatest challenge. Just as the saying goes, physician, heal thyself, our solution is this. Change agents, let's practice what we preach. Then we will truly be delivering the promise.
Dave Blumhorst here, Vice President of Professional Services with Daptive, with about 30 years experience in the project management space, leading IT PMOs, CIOs, as a CIO, etc. Biggest challenge for project managers that I see today, hitting the business target. as opposed to simply delivering on time, on budget, and on scope. Even if you do all that, you may or may not hit the business target. If I deliver on time and on budget and on scope, but don't deliver the business goods, I have thrown away all the money and all the time. So that is very important. How do we look at this? We need project managers that are leaders, that understand business, not just project management fundamentals, that understand the area they are leading in. How do we measure this and deal with this? We have to understand that projects don't simply end when they go live, particularly in IT. They continue on through an adoption phase. They continue on as they measure benefits and realization. The good project manager has to have this in mind. They have to be able to make decisions and help lead a group to make decisions along the way about, are we really on track to meet that business target? If that means changing scope, if that means being late, if that means being a little over budget, that's okay. If I'm looking for a $10 million revenue increase from a new web channel and have a $1 million project in here, if I'm 20% over budget at $1.2 million, but I get my $10 million, that's fine. So I think one of the biggest challenges is getting project management off of the on time, on budget, on scope success criteria and onto the business outcomes criteria. Thank you.
And that was part 2 of 4 of our anniversary episode. That's it for right now. Thank you very much for listening. Please join us again in part 3. As always, you can find us on the web at pm-podcast.com, and please send your emails to info@pm-podcast.com, and when you write, please tell me where in the world you are writing from. Until next time.